Now listen, this is highly inappropriate, and I'm probably going to end up in front of our HR department on Monday. But I'm going to open a beer very quickly. Just bear with me, if you don't mind. Oh, God, I can't work this. Oh, here we go. And I'm going to pour it very quickly because many of us dream, I would suggest, of being able to eat and drink whatever we want and however much we want without worrying about our waistlines. And it's maybe why we're seeing an increase in the sale of light beer. But here's the question. What makes light beer different to the regular brew, particularly in the craft beer market? Let me take you live to Cape Town. Kevin Wood, good morning to you. One of the founders of the Darling Brewery and a very kindly overnighted case of beer to all of us here at ENCA. Let's start with this. What's the definition of a light beer? And perhaps more importantly, why the increase in your trade specifically? You answer the question, I'm going to have a sip of your product.
Well, I think HR are right now envious of you having ice-cold beer this time of the morning. Thank you very much, Jeremy. Well, there are two big differences. One is the alcohol content and one is the calories. And if you have a look at light beers today, you can get a zero alcohol-free beer, and you can get anywhere between anything under 4% is classified as a light beer. We have one that's roughly 2.6%, and there's a massive, massive difference from an alcohol and a calorie content. If you take a 5% beer, you must remember that's 5% alcohol. If you drop it down to 4%, that's a 20% difference just in alcohol that you're consuming, which with the drinking and driving problems we've got in this country, that's the one angle. But I think a bigger angle is the lifestyle and people's drive to be healthier. And I dare say in a few years' time you're going to find that this category we're talking about right now will grow substantially. I know there's research done in America and the UK at the moment that it's going to grow to roughly 30%.
And it's the big brewers. I mean, the AB InBevs and all of that have gone this route. But I suppose it was only a matter of time then before the craft beer market was almost compelled to start offering the same type of product.
Well, I think it's driven by it's definitely driven by lifestyle, Jeremy, and we rely on Big Brother. They spend millions and millions launching categories like alcohol-free beer. I wouldn't say light beer. Light beer has been around for some time now. If you look at Vintuk Light as an example, it's been around for years, and it's definitely a healthier option. But we, in terms of the market, particularly your sports fraternity, doesn't matter whether you're a runner, mountain biker, cyclist, you name it, they definitely want the lighter alcohol, lighter calorie type beers. I mean, it's not only beer, you can also have a look at alcohol-free gins nowadays. So it's definitely a growing category, and which we're very happy to be part of.
So the secret, I would imagine, with this, whether it's no alcohol or light alcohol, is that you've got to get that side of it right, but you can't afford to lose the taste.
Well, one of the most difficult things when you start taking out alcohol, you take out flavor and you take out body. And that's one of the biggest challenges when you start bringing out alcohol-free or low alcohol or low calorie type beer. And it's incredibly challenging. There are many ways of doing it, through equipment, through adjuncts that you can add in. Adjuncts like I wouldn't call it a chemical, but it's they're components you can add to beer. The best way to do it is the proper way, and that's through very expensive equipment. And I think that is also what challenges many smaller breweries to bring out these type of beers. Hence, you'll find that in the craft category, there's probably 5 or 6 light beers out there at the moment based on those type of challenges. But it's crucial. It's like with anything. It's like a loaf of bread. You strip out the flavor, you land up with a government loaf, and that's not what people want today. People want flavoursome, healthy, alcohol low alcohol beverages.
Just in conclusion, let's move the conversation away from the light component. We know that the craft beer market itself is growing incrementally in South Africa. Darling Brewery, what's your story and how sustainable and competitive is your business?
I think the entire liquor industry is very competitive. It's not just about beer. I think the category has grown exponentially. I know when we started, there were probably a handful of us, maybe 10 breweries of various sizes. Today, there's close to 300 craft breweries in South Africa, many of them regionalized, some of them even village-sized. I don't know what word you want to use, but there's very few that have the capacity to distribute on a national level. There's probably about 6 or 7 of us. Hence, you'll see that your big retailers where our beers and our competitors' beers are available are very limited. And there are many factors that contribute towards that, whether it be your shelf life, whether it be your ability to distribute. But it's a very, very competitive category at the moment. And you'll find the bigger guys getting bought out by international brew companies because they realize that it's what the consumer wants. The consumer wants great product, and to be part of that journey is important.
Well, let's just pick up this thing on great product. Is it absolutely about a differentiation in taste? Have you got to give me something that is completely different from perhaps a normal mainstream brewery? Is that the secret? Is it the development of a unique taste?
Well, I think it goes beyond just the development of a great taste. It's also about telling a story. And I think consumers today, there's a growing consumer base worldwide that wants to know where their product comes from. Not just where the product comes from, but where the ingredients that are used come from. And I think it all goes back to lifestyle and health. And that is growing. And we deliver products like that. Our beers are incredibly healthy. And it's just based on process and based on where our ingredients come from. Big Brother in South Africa, there's nothing wrong with those beers. They brew incredibly good beers, but they're definitely not like a craft beer. And I think it's very difficult once you've drank a craft beer. And I think we also need to move away from the craft word. We need to start talking about great beer, premium beer. That's definitely where the market's going. And if you look in America at the moment, they're sitting on about 20% volume and about 14% revenue when it comes to the beer category. So there's definitely a demand, but like anything in life, you're going to get the people that are discerning, drinking great and eating great product, and the people that aspire to those products. And it's just an ongoing thing. You can choose any category you want in the world.
Kevin, how wide, I mean, who's drinking the product? I mean, if I imagined a craft beer a couple of years ago, it would have been a hipster with a beard in front of an Apple Mac. But it's beyond that, though, isn't it?
It's gone totally beyond that. That's where we started, definitely with the hipsters. It's now going... We stuck. When I say stuck, we've moved from a hipster, very niche environment, very much more to mainstream. Our prices have dropped incredibly over the last 2 years, and that's just come from volume and better sourcing. And also the consumer, as I've mentioned on numerous occasions this morning, demanding great beer or different beer with different flavors. You must remember, if you take a typical lager, whether in South Africa, America, or Australia, it's like a loaf of bread. It feeds you, but it doesn't blow your mind. If you look at craft beer, there are so many variants and styles you can play with. And there's only one rule in craft beer, and that's brew great beer. But there's no such thing as what defines one style, like a lager, and that's it. Here's a lager, here's another lager. If you want an IPA, you can have an IPA. If you want a Bock beer, you can have a Bock beer. If you want a Pale Ale, you can have a Pale Ale. If you want a Wit beer, you can have a Wit beer. And I mean, there's so many styles within those styles. It's like I say, the only rule is brew great beer.
Right. Okay, Kevin Wood, my new best friend in Cape Town, thank you very much for talking to us tonight. It's shining a light on a very interesting part of the economy, and thanks for sending it up as well. There's a rugby match to watch, and there are a couple more bottles if I can get them from our crew next door that I would imagine is also about to leap onto it.